David Zobel here, and we are going to look at how to draw monsters today. What we're going to look at is I'm going to show you one of the monsters. Actually, we're going to look at this guy right here. I call him Mustachio. I'm going to show you the creation of it and then show you some coloring things. Not too much, but just I've already kind of laid in some flat colors, and we're going to look at just some ways in specifically Sketchbook Pro you can color and how you can adapt that maybe to if you're drawing on paper. Right? So let's get right into that. So as you can see, I've kind of already sketched out this monster of what I want to do. So let me just turn that off. This is in the end what we're going to do, right? That's the monster that we are going to draw. So first thing is, how do you come up with that? You know, the sketch. Now, before this, I did tons of sketches on paper, tons of different manipulations as far as, you know, what it is. It all starts with some of the basic shapes that we've gone over. So let's just kind of break this monster down a little bit. So to start, the monster is this basic shape, right? And so when I start with sketching, I kind of draw it really loose because I know I'm not going to use those lines, so it doesn't necessarily matter. So I'm going to draw that really loose, and I was thinking of different ways we could do this. My son actually came up with this idea of having the mustache also be the eyebrows. So I thought, oh man, what a great idea. So the first thing is kind of drawing that bigger shape that kind of goes over top because his eyes are going to be somewhat there, right? So that was the first idea, is how do we do that? So I did lots of drawings as far as, okay, well, how do I do that? Where are these eyes going to be? If the eyes are here, right, we're looking somewhat center of the face here. So the mustache is going to be somewhere there, and I got to curl it around, right? And then from there, I didn't know what to do with the teeth. You know, like, do I put a mouth here? I felt that looked weird. But I said, what if this whole shape that I created was the teeth, right? And then we get a little bit more of the body, feet, arms, you know, let's give some horns and some hair. And there's the monster. And I said, you know what, we need a little bit of some dots here and there. And that's the way that, you know, that's created. So again, it really starts with that same kind of, I call it this, you know, this kind of extended oval shape, or almost looks like a straightened oval, right? So if we look at it, it really is just that, right? It's an oval that doesn't have this part to it. That's there. So let's get into now kind of drawing that. So let's use my previous sketch that I had. Let's turn all those off, turn this one on. So now that we have that sketch, I'm going to switch over to a different pen. So I am in Sketchbook Pro. So this pen that I have, oops, let's undo that, has some change in its pen pressure, right? So it can go from thin to heavy. Now I'm just going to increase this a little bit, the pressure of this, right, for on the screen. This is good. So you can see I can draw these really nice lines that's here. And Sketchbook Pro is a free program. You need a drawing tablet for it. It works the best. But you can do this on pen and paper, right? So sketch with a pencil and then go back over top with a pen. Now I have tons of pens, and maybe in another episode I'll cover like the pens that I would use. But you could use a Sharpie, you could use a regular marker. This mimics a flexible tip. So let's get into drawing. So I'm going to draw, what am I going to draw first? I am going to draw the mustache first. So we're going to go in. You know, so when I'm drawing this kind of as like a big bushy mustache. So I'm not really trying to be super careful with that. And so let's draw where these horns are. So I like to draw these kind of like mushy, and let's just kind of go over some of that. So look, I'm drawing a curve and then coming back around and then doing another one and then doing that one and doing another one. So those lines that are coming in kind of mimic the idea of folds in this monster as far as like skin or something like that. I really enjoy those. If you don't like those, you can simply draw the horns right off of it. Let's give them a little curve to them. Let's draw the other one here. So this is curving in, so we're going to do that as well. And then let's just give it some nice hair that's there. Let's extend these down. And we're going to make the mouth a little mushy as well. Oop, that one a little too far. And then the teeth, right? So if you followed enough along with me, you know I like these ideas of some of these bigger teeth. So we're going to just draw those bigger teeth in. And for his hands, right, we're going to put one on his hip here. And just a little thing with hands. So these are kind of like, flipper hands. So I'm not really drawing the hands as much. But do you see this little mark that I have in? So every time you're drawing this right there, that mark that's there is really important because it's showing a bend, right? If you're looking at the camera while drawing it, it's showing this part. And the way we illustrate that is over exaggerating that a little bit. It gives depth and dimension to this. So that's what we drew here. Again, some mushy feet. And then we're going to do the eyes, simple filled in circles. Now, from here, right, to add some detail, we're just going to add in some of these lines that are here. And you can see I'm not really doing too much to these lines. It just starts to add, again, just a little bit of dimension, right? We could do something like this with the mustache. We could do the same thing kind of coming from here. You know, if we're kind of ending at this point, there's a couple ways we can shade that's here. I'm going to show you on two different horns. One is doing like this, which I like to do just real simple like that. You could also do what's called hatching, right? So when we go one way, it's hatching. When we go the opposite way on it or a different way, it's called cross hatching. So we could do some hatching and cross hatching to give it some dimension if we wanted to, right? Just giving it some in here and then giving some like that, right? So that's the quick little kind of rundown of that monster. Now, you could kind of simplify that if you didn't want to do that. If you wanted to do a different mustache, for example, if you're drawing along with this, and let's say you just wanted to do kind of a mustache like that. And you said, you know what, I don't want it to go all the way around. And maybe we simplify this. Maybe hit some really big teeth that are there. Maybe just the horns are just kind of coming off like that. Maybe he has a more simpler body. You know, let's turn that off. Maybe it's something more like that, which you can totally do as far, right? This is just your creation. I'm just kind of drawing along with you to kind of give you inspiration to draw your own. So this is the way that I've kind of finished it. This is the way that we looked at our finished product. I like these little circles that are there. It just kind of gives this like weird, like dinosaur-esque kind of like, you know, feeling to it. So let's just take in a little bit of coloring. So with this, you can see it's blue that's in here. And I'm going to sample that blue and just make it slightly darker. I'm going to use this synthetic brush that I like to use. And we're just going to go in, make it bigger. We're just going to go in and kind of, what's really nice about this brush is you can see that it kind of blends in as I do it. Now, I'm not going to necessarily do the whole thing just because it's not necessarily a coloring video. We will do a coloring video. And you can see it kind of blends as I go there. So when you're thinking about shading, right, just using the same kind of colors and just kind of shading in some of these areas, right? You see I can get some darker ones where the folds are. And part of this is like knowing where to put some of this is just by like doing it, you know? Now let's say I wanted to put a little highlight. We're gonna go with a lighter color. Now, if you were doing this on like pen or like on paper, you know, whiteout pen or leaving that empty is a way to kind of add those little highlights and sheens. And you can see adding those little highlights in places allow a great deal of dimension. So with like the mustache, I wanted a little bit of a redder kind of brown that's in there. So again, just kind of putting some of that separate color that's in there really creates this nice kind of feeling, and I can kind of brush that in throughout. So anyway, so that is drawing with Mustachio here. You can kind of, I would love for you to draw your own, see where you go with that, see what you do, see what highlights you like, see what kind of dimension you like to do. You know, all these videos are just about you exploring, right? Part of this is just to get you going with ideas, deciding what to do. So pause the video while you're drawing, add your own things. I'd love to see what you do with 2 eyes, 3 eyes, 7 eyes, you know, whatever you want to do. So hope you had fun doing this. This is David Zobel, and we drew some, I think, really fun monsters. So hopefully I can see what you have created. Thanks again.